It's the spookiest time of the year, and with Halloween right around the corner, it's nice to see so many streaming apps packed to the gills with gill men and other monsters and awesome horror content. What about those forgotten gems only found on VHS or streaming outside your country? Well, with ExpressVPN by your side, nothing can stand in your way. ExpressVPN is the ultimate skeleton key that opens up the video crypt full of streaming content typically hidden from your geolocation. Apps like Netflix and Disney Plus bury content away from peering eyes depending on what country you live in, but with ExpressVPN, you can change your location from somewhere like Transylvania to the UK, and within seconds, the movies you've been looking for will appear in a puff of smoke. And with over 100 countries to choose from worldwide, whether you're hunting vampires with Blade 2 only playing in Japan, or stitching together the horror of Frankenstein only available in the Netherlands, ExpressVPN will always be there to help you find exactly what you need. Find out how you can get yourself an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free by going to expressvpn.com/cinemassacre. Or by clicking the link in the description below.
Tonight's Halloween marathon continues. Assholes tonight. Assholes tonight at 9.
Well, seen that one before. Yeah, I'm getting tired of the same old horror movies. You know what? Well, I'm gonna go see that new Nosferatu movie. Yeah, there's a new Nosferatu, which is a remake of the remake. I'm very curious about that, so gonna go check it out. Yeah, so it's not out yet. It comes out on Christmas. Christmas Day. Of all the days of the year to release a horror film, why pick Christmas? What were they thinking? Well, gonna have to wait to see Nosferatu, but at least for now, I can play the game. That's right, the game. Yeah, Nosferatu on Super Nintendo. Sure, you have one of two possible responses. What's Nosferatu? Well, it was the ancient Romanian word for the insufferable one, but never mind that. It was the title of the 1922 German silent horror film. Which happens to be the oldest surviving adaptation of Dracula. But if you already know that and you're thinking, holy shit, there's a Nosferatu. See for yourself. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy fuck my fucking nuts off. This looks amazing. 16-bit game, the graphics are very impressive. I hope I'm not making this assessment preemptively, but I will say this game is awesome. If you're at all surprised by just the fact this game exists, well, so was I. It was released in 1995 in North America, but it wasn't until after the turn of the millennium when I first heard of it. If it was in Nintendo Power, I must have missed it. Its obscurity has some similarities to the classic film. As the story goes, the filmmakers didn't get permission to adapt the Dracula novel, so they changed the names. For example, Dracula was renamed Orlok. But a court ruled against it and ordered all copies of the film to be destroyed. Though obviously some managed to survive. Because then how the fuck are we looking at it? Though the game was never destroyed, not yet, it does feel like an unofficial Dracula. You can clearly tell from the cutscenes and especially the game over screen that it and especially the game over screen that it's meant to be Dracula. Some speculate that the reason they couldn't call it Dracula, or chose not to, was because of Konami having already established such a well-known franchise with the character. I mean, it's so famous, I don't even think I need to say the name of this franchise. But I will. Castlevania. or Devil's Castle Dracula. But I will. Castlevania, or Devil's Castle Dracula. I'm pretty sure the character was public domain by then, and it's worth noting that there were other Dracula games, such as Bram Stoker's Dracula, you know, the one with Fred Fox. I'm pretty sure the character was public domain by But the Nosferatu game has the same type of premise. A guy goes into a castle to fight a bunch of monsters. Guy goes into a castle to fight a bunch of monsters, ultimately to face a final vampire boss. But if there was any game it copied, it would be Prince of Persia, with its detailed character animation and controls that attempt realism. You have to painstakingly climb up walls rather than just effortlessly hopping around. I wouldn't call this a platformer game. It's more like a cliffhanger game. So what I'm saying is, Nosferatu, at its best, is Prince of Persia, and at its worst, is Lester the Unlikely. But Persia, and at its worst. Let's not go there. Moves do take a while to figure out. Even if you look them up or somehow have the original manual, it takes a lot of practice. I actually ran the timer out before I even had a chance to try all the moves. And even then, sometimes the attacks just don't want to connect. I have to address the fact that your only method of attack is punching and kicking. You know, I always find it amusing when you punch the ever-loving fuck out of a monster. I mean, that takes some serious nerve. To just go up to that thing and punch it. He even raises his fists. He even raises his fists, goes into a fight stance like, come and get it. Gonna hook you up with some combos. Even in Doom, the reason you would ever punch demons is because you ran out of bullets. But this guy, he came here by choice without any weapons. I mean, you could see in the opening cutscene, he arrives at the castle unarmed. I figured along the way you would pick up weapons, right? Cross, a silver dagger, some holy water, but no, there are no weapons at all. Who would have thought a vampire hunting game would be all hand-to-hand combat? And this guy doesn't seem to be a mutant or have any superpowered abilities. He's just some ordinary-looking dude. Damn! Don't ever fuck with him! Damn! Don't ever fuck with him! When you beat the stage boss, he shows off some moves, like you won the round. Moves, like you won the round. Were they trying to make a tournament fighter or a beat-em-up game? And then at the last minute, it got turned into a horror-themed adventure? Not to mention, the Stage 2 boss is a pair of apes. What kind of theme are we going with here? I don't think they even knew what time period the game takes place. The game over screen has a photograph. At first, I didn't think much of it, but after dying so many times and having to constantly look at it, I started wondering, why the hell would there be a photo? I mean, wait a minute. The date on it says 1990. Is that when the game is supposed to take place? I thought maybe 1890. In the cutscene, he's riding a horse. It definitely implies this is classic Dracula time period. But no, the Ninja Turtle movie came out the same year. This guy's riding a fucking horse into a castle. And besides, that is one sorry-ass game over screen. Guy and a girl smiling in a photo? Not a tombstone or a pile of bones or a pile of bones or blood-dripping letters that say you're dead. Guy and a girl smiling in a photo? No, just a vacation photo that could be somebody's goddamn profile pic. MySpace, yeah. Isn't that what the kids do these days? MySpace, yeah. Huh? No? I'm a little behind, guys.
Who made this game?
I'm gonna move my thumb away. Yep. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna move my thumb away. Ah, SATA. Yeah, it couldn't have been LJN because I already. Ah, SATA. Yeah, it couldn't have been LJN because I already did all the LJN games, finished them all off in my episode 200. So, SATA, did that. Oh. Who did that? Oh. Oh no. Oh, no! No! Now we know the extent of what we're dealing with here. Check this out. You often come to a low clearance where you have to pass through a narrow space. You're probably thinking you just duck and crawl, right? Or do a slide like Mega Man. Well, you'd be right that you slide, but it's not that simple. You don't just press down an A. No, you have to get a head start. And then run by doing a double tap on the D-pad. And then you slide by pressing down and Y. it may seem fine enough to deal with, except the run doesn't always work. You're probably familiar with other games that use the double tap to run, like Battletoads. Like Battletoads and the Ninja Turtles beat-em-up games. And the Ninja Turtles beat-em-up games. But this is like a broken version of that. Is it supposed to be 2 slow taps, 2 fast taps, or fuck it, try 3 taps? It doesn't matter. It only works when it feels like it. And that's unacceptable because there are tons of spots where you need to run. Whether it's a running jump or a running slide, you have to do it again and again and again. So it must be reliable, but it isn't. Oh, and then there's times when you run by accident, like if you're trying to walk real slow, or you have to do it again. Oh, and then there's times to a certain spot, it might trigger the run. Be reliable. Run. Then I realized something. It just hit me like a 10-ton pile of shit. There is no reason the double tap should be necessary at all. Couldn't run be its own button, like L or R? Those do nothing. And what about X or A? Those are dead buttons too. The game only uses Y and B. Attack. Attack and jump. You can reassign the buttons, but it doesn't matter because there's only two. All the other buttons go to waste. It seems this game was designed for the NES. But this was in 1995. It wasn't like Super Nintendo just came out. In fact, PlayStation was out by then. I already said they didn't know what genre game they were making, but they didn't even know what console they were making it for. I'm starting to think this game might not be as awesome as it first looks. Man, such potential, great style, great design. Such potential, great style, great design. I mean, who doesn't love a good spooky adventure where you're going through a bunch of haunted scenery, fighting creatures of the night? I mean, who doesn't love a good spooky adventure where where you're going through a bunch of haunted scenery. But it's ruined by one minor peeve after another. Certain monsters drop crystals on the floor, but you have to stand in the most precise spot to pick them up. It's like trying to pick a penny off the floor. It's not worth it. What are these crystals for anyway? Well, to increase your attack power and shit, but it doesn't matter. As soon as the next thing hits you, you lose them. Let's say you open a treasure chest and get an item. What will be your next instinct? To walk away, right? You got the item. Done. But no, I found out there could actually be more items in the chest. So you have to keep grabbing until you've got everything. Who would think to do that? In Zelda, when you open a chest, there's only one item. That's it. You don't keep digging into the same chest. Who would think to do that? In Zelda, when you open a chest, there's only one item. That's it. You don't keep digging into the same chest. But some chests have no items at all. Instead, a shitty ghost that pops out and hits you. Who would think to do that? In Zelda, when you open a chest, there's only one item. That's it. You don't keep digging into the same chest. That's a cheap shot, a gotcha trap. But everything I've mentioned so far is just petty poopy. The real shit is coming up. Theoretically, it's a short game with only 6 stages. But you know what other game has only 6 stages? Ghosts and Goblins. And that's one of the hardest, most ball-busting motherfuckers ever. With Nosferatu, it doesn't really get that hard until stage 3, and as far as I'm concerned, that's where the playability runs out. The problem is they give you only one life. You die, it's game over, and you go back to the last checkpoint, wherever that is. They're real stingy about these checkpoints. After a long, punishing stretch, you'll come to a doorway which would seem like the perfect logical place for the checkpoint. After a long, punishing stretch, you'll come to a doorway which would seem like the perfect logical place for the checkpoint, but nope. Well, that's one way to make 6 stages feel like 100, by turning them into endurance rounds. Forcing the player to repeat the same parts over and over and over until they've mastered it. I'm playing on the normal difficulty setting, by the way. And I cannot pass stage 3. Not without a code, and I tried for hours. I gave it my best. You know, this gave me that same experience as all those tough-ass games you've seen me play over the years. It's so familiar to me now, I recognize it, like a sickness coming on. Oh. It's so familiar to me now, I recognize it, like a sickness. Oh, here's the sore throat phase, here comes the runny nose. You've gone through it so many times, you know the feeling. And here's how I would describe what I'd call the 3 phases of angry nerd gaming. Phase 1 is the confusion stage. What am I supposed to do? Where do I go? This is when you learn the game, and the only way to do that is by dying a lot. You will attempt leaps of faith, or more like faithless leaps of death. You will run into dead ends and have to find your way around the maze. You will get stuck until you realize there's a hidden path. The classic cryptic bullshit. Death. You will run into and you might even fall through the goddamn floor. So essentially, what you're doing in phase 1 essentially, what you're doing in Phase 1 is having a free-for-all fuck-up fest until you've memorized the entire layout of the stage up till the next checkpoint. Phase 2 is when the element of chance creeps. So, essentially, what you're doing in Phase 1 is having a free-for-all fuck-up fest until you until you've memorized the entire layout of the stage. The entire layout of the stage up till the next checkpoint. So, essentially, what you're doing in Phase 1 is having a free-for-all fuck-up fest until you've memorized the Phase 2 is when the element of chance creeps in behind you and kicks you in the ass. This is the part when you think nothing major can go wrong, because by now you know what you're doing. You have the knowledge and the practice, but for some reason, shit doesn't work. Let's say you have to make a running jump to grab onto a wall. Three simple actions: run, jump, grab. And if just one of those become unresponsive, look, see, just like that, it Didn't grab, but I know I was pressing up. The biggest wild card for me was this section where you have to pass over a spike pit while hopping across 3 crumbling platforms. And being chased by some obnoxious creature that swings from the ceiling. It even laughs at you when you die. It seems self-explanatory enough. Just hop across the platforms. Just hop across the platforms. But sometimes the jump fails, and you get stuck in this crouching position. Like, what the hell? I was hitting the jump button. Position. Like, sometimes you try to jump, and he just falls into the pit. And even when you've made it across, there's still a chance it'll happen again. I've tried holding left while tapping B, tapping left while holding B. I've tried holding left while tapping B, tapping left while holding B, every possible combination to hack the controls, and just when I thought I had it figured out, it stopped working. It stopped working. It's all random luck of the controls, and whenever I did pass this section, I always ended up dying somewhere else. You're expected to have a perfect marathon, which is basically like trying to flip a coin and have it. I always ended up dying somewhere else. Flip a coin and have it land on heads multiple times in a row. When you fail, you get mad and want to try that same part over again, immediately, while it's fresh in your mind. But no, you have to start over and redo that whole stretch. And that brings me to phase 3. Phase 3 is when boredom and fatigue sets in. This is the stage of the This is the stage of the sickness when you're wondering, when is this going to be over? You're so exhausted from playing the same parts over and over that you start playing shittier because you're rushing. Your patience is gone. This is when you can barely even stand to look at the graphics anymore. Those colors and patterns are burning into your eyeballs, and that music has fucked its way into your mind. Those colors and patterns are as you can see, I lost my fucking mind. See, I lost my... Yeah, I hit my breaking point. I realized there was no way I was passing stage 3, even if I spent all day. So that's when I tried the code. This allowed me the opportunity to play every stage and fail on every stage. So that's when I tried the code. This allowed me the opportunity to play every stage and fail on every stage. Fuck! Fuck! Ah! Ah! Oh, fuck! Fuck! Ah! I've shown you everything worthwhile. There's not that much variety. So here's the final battle with Dracula, or Nosferatu, whatever. He switches back and forth between his human and bat forms, and I have to say, I had my doubts, but it turns out that you still don't get any weapon. Even at this point in the game, the whole mission comes down to a bare-fisted slugfest against the King of Vampires. Even at this point in the game, the whole mission comes down to a bare... It's one thing for this guy to go around punching monsters, but to actually kill the undead Prince of Evil with his bare fucking fists makes him the most unbelievably badass character of all time. Kill the undead Prince of Evil with his bare fucking fists makes him the most unbelievably badass character of all time. To kill the undead Prince of Evil with his bare fucking fists makes him the most unbelievably badass character of all time. Jeez. Holy shit. Can you kill a vampire in hand-to-hand combat? Is that part of the lore? Did they ever establish that in the original Nosferatu film? Did they ever establish that in the original Nosferatu film? Come to think of it, this battle goes exactly how you'd expect. I mean, look at this. I'm getting my ass handed to me. And it's pretty rare to see your life bar bigger than the final bosses. Bar bigger than the final bosses and still impossible to beat him. I managed to sneak in a combo every now and then. But it takes 2 combos to drain only half of 1 crystal. Half! You know what? Fuck this game. This is one of the most deceivingly shitty games I've ever played because because it's almost awesome. It has a great style in that Castlevania sort of way. Let's not say Castlevania, because it only makes me wish I was playing Castlevania. It has awful, unpredictable controls, not enough checkpoints, no. It has awful, unpredictable controls. No extra lives, cheap traps. If you have anxiety, this is a game that a doctor would tell you to avoid. One of the most nerve-wracking pieces of shit on the Super Nintendo. By all definitions, this is Nosferatu, the insufferable one.